Have you ever had questions or doubts about whether God really exists? You ever question that? You ever had doubts and questions about whether the Bible is really true and all the things that it says? I mean, have you ever wondered and had trouble, just whether Jesus was just a good teacher and had trouble believing that he was anything more than just that? You guys ever had questions like that? I think the answer for all of us, if we were actually honest, is yeah. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, if you're here today and you've got doubts and questions about God and the Bible and all this Jesus stuff, you're actually in really good company. That's where Jesus' first disciples are at before they become Jesus' disciples. That's where they're at. In fact, I actually think this. I don't think that anybody can become a true Christian, a true follower of Jesus Christ without actually asking these type of questions. Because otherwise, then what kind of faith is it that you have? It's just not based upon anything that you've really come to be convinced of and believed. You see, without asking those questions, I don't know how you can become sufficiently convinced of who Jesus is. He's somebody that's worth really following and giving your life to. I think that's the clincher for me, really, is in seeing Jesus, I think for them, and how he responds to them. I think that's what does it for him. Peter, he expects Jesus to reject him because he didn't believe. That's what he expects. We tend to think this. We tend to think that God gets mad at us for questioning him and doubting him. That's what we tend to think. But instead, Jesus here, he shows us God's heart. That's not God's heart toward us. In response to me, he says, don't be afraid. Don't worry about it. I'm not mad. I'm not leaving you. I'm not going to go anywhere. Instead, Jesus, he basically offers Peter a job. He offers them this opportunity to go on the road with Jesus and to apprentice him day in and day out for 3 years. It's basically like an offer to go to college. Because back then, you usually had to petition a rabbi to become their student and to learn from them. But back then, no rabbi ever had or ever would have taken on fishermen. That wasn't even something they would ever even dream of asking. It was just not an option that's open to you if you're in the fisherman class. But Jesus offers it to these guys, to the fishermen, and now because of all the money they're going to make from all this fish, they can actually afford to leave their jobs and follow him. So Jesus basically pays for their college too. Pretty sweet deal. For us today, thinking about these guys and the place that they're in and where we're at, do you have questions and doubts about God where you think, well, maybe I'm just not good enough to be a follower of Jesus, to be a Christian? Are you afraid that if Jesus really knew you, if he was able to see beneath the surface and see who you really are, see what really goes on behind the scenes in your life and in your mind and in your heart, that he'd just be so upset, so disappointed that he wouldn't want you? Ever have thoughts like that? See, if so, if that's what you think, you are the exact kind of person that Jesus is looking for to become one of his special disciples. That's Jesus' design, is to take us from that place and to follow him, and then to start to see his goodness toward us. And then that's when we truly actually come to believe in his truth and in his grace toward us. You see, all of us are broken in this way. None of us ever believe enough. You can never believe enough for it to be enough. All of us get skeptical about God's love and care for us, even as Christians. You see, but the level of our faith has never been a condition for Jesus. It's never been a condition. He doesn't only accept us if we have enough faith. He always welcomes us in and invites us to walk with him so that we might be saved and we might be convinced, and then we might bring a lot of other people into that boat with us. It's a good boat. Jesus, he's a Jesus for the doubting. If if we turn to Jesus and we ask him, we honestly bring our questions and our doubts and our fears before him, I believe he's a Jesus that will answer those questions for us. He'll be the Savior that he claims to be. He's a Jesus who heals all wounds, even our wounded pride and egos.